We, the consumer, need to stop living in denial. We need to take a stance. We all act as if we were shocked. But were we really? Is luxury just a scam? How does it make you feel knowing that your luxury items may have been made in an unethical, illegal sweat factory, where even the safety devices were removed just to increase the amount of work, where workers are made to sleep in their work environment so there is 24-hour manpower, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Andri and welcome to another of my chit chat videos where I like to share my thoughts, experiences and what's going on at the moment. Before we dive into all of that, I just like to say this is all done for entertainment purposes, nothing based on facts. This is all my people, allegedly. Cheers. So we're going to dive into this conversation, this current conversation that's going on at the moment. I know many content creators have uploaded videos on this subject about basically the main one that everybody's really talking about at the moment is Dior and its subcontractors, and basically how these luxury bags are being made in sweat factories under terrible conditions, and basically these factories are being paid on average, depending on the bag, 53 euros per bag, and we're paying, I don't know, 2,600 euros, 2,700 euros. I know there's a chain, people. There is a chain. We're going to get into all of that. I'm going to get into it, I suppose, from somebody that kind of grew up in the rag trade. So I'm going to put my thoughts forward with regards to that. I'm not going to get into all the details of what actually happened. There has been many a video that has spoken about that. What I will do for you is link an article in my description box which goes into the whole thing, the prosecution of whoever and who Dior is part of and all of that everybody else has spoken about. So I don't think there's a need for me to speak about it, but I will link an article below which explains everything for you. I was asked my thoughts on this video by Rose and Sherry. Thank you so much, ladies, for just wanting my opinion on it. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on it and how I see this whole thing. In all honesty, I think I'm going to look at it from a different angle than everybody else has, hopefully. I'm going to also raise some questions to us, the consumer. I mean, at the end of the day, we all know when we're buying these bags, we know that they're overpriced. We know the amount that we pay at the end of the line is not what it costs to make that bag. That's obvious. They're saying this bag, not this particular bag, but we're taking this bag as an example because this is a Dior bag and this is the only Dior bag I have. This is the classic original medium-sized lady Dior bag with the zipper. So they're saying one of their bags, they paid the factories 53 euros for the bag. I don't know if that includes the material or just to put the bag together, but what they paid the factory to make that bag was 53 euros. And then at the end of the line, once it's been made, once it's been transported to wherever, once the taxes have been added, once the champagne has been offered, once the sales assistant has been paid, blah 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 blah, you know, the whole chain. And we know it's not just about making the bag, it's a whole process. By the time we get the bag and all the packaging and all of that and blah, we know we're paying mostly for the name and the experience and for holding that label on our arm. Deny it all you like. But we also thought we were paying for the best of quality, the best of materials, made by an artisan, not made like fast fashion on a conveyor belt. So before I move further into the video, just in case, the slightest chance you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you a briefing just here. Italian courts revealed Dior's unethical supply chain and puts other luxury brands on notice. So like I said, if you want to read the whole article on that, it will be linked in my description box. And remember, everything I say is allegedly. So Dior has been unethical. But the twist comes because Dior was not held criminally at fault, because the items were put out by subcontractors. So basically, the bag that you thought, like I said earlier, was being made in a beautiful environment by an artisan was basically put together for 53 euros by some subcontractor, which was an unethical, illegal factory by Chinese immigrants, allegedly, what are otherwise known as sweatshops. So it looks like and feels like Dior is guilty, but apparently not legally, because of this loophole. And that, my friends, is the law. So I said earlier on in the video that I was gonna look at it from somebody that grew up in the rag trade. So basically, my dad was a self-employed tailor, made to measure, handmade. So let's dive in. Let's dive in from that aspect of subcontractors. So my dad was a tailor. He would be the person, it was his business, he would be the person that would go and take the measurements from the person that wanted a suit. My dad would take the measurements, he would come back, he would cut the suit. Once the customer had chosen their material, my dad would show them samples of material, my dad would purchase the material, he would bring it back, he would cut the suit. My dad would then put it together roughly. I remember it being big white stitches, just so it all held together as a suit. My dad had employees who would finely stitch the suit together, put it together. One would work on the sleeves and the lapels, the other would work on the buttonholes and the buttons, and all would be hand stitched. Okay, they were my dad's employees to finish off that jacket. But the suit needed trousers, so my dad would send out the trousers to a subcontractor who was an expert in cutting and putting together trousers. Even once the whole suit had been put together, the suit would go out to subcontractors that ironed it, pressed it. I remember these great big iron irons that would press the suits. I would go with my dad sometimes when he would drop them off, and then he would go and collect them. They were the subcontractors. But my dad was responsible for that end product. My dad was responsible for that whole suit. Even though he didn't make the trousers, he was responsible with regards to the quality. He made sure who he chose to make those trousers did as good a job as he would have done if he had done it himself, because it was his name that was on the line here. It was down to my dad. So would we not say that this was the responsibility of Dior to make sure whoever the subcontractors were doing it in a good, clean environment, an ethical environment, a legal environment? Would we not agree? So again, at this point I say to you, we need to stop being in denial. These things are happening. Let's stop pretending they're not. Let's stop using the high prices that we pay for these bags are because they are the creme de la creme, because people, they're not. Which brings me onto the next subject. Again, coming from somebody who was around the rag trade, growing up around the rag trade. Now, in the process of manufacturing in the rag trade, there's always, more often than not, an excess of stock. In the rag trade, this is called cabbage. How is this stock created? Why is there extra stock? It's the way the materials are cut. It's, you always have extra materials for mistakes, okay? So with these extra materials, the cutters will cut extra stock, the leftover stock. This, like I said, is what is called the cabbage in the rag trade, okay? These items, these pieces of clothing are made, this extra stock, the cabbage is made in exactly the same way as the item that is made for these labels. Nothing is different about it, okay? Absolutely nothing is different. It is exactly the same item. So could we class these as fakes? The super fakes? They've both been made in the same factory, but we're frowned upon if we bought a fake or a super fake. But in this same factory, your original bag that you've paid thousands for, that you thought or hoped was made ethically, those illegal fakes, those illegal super fakes, were they made in the same place as your classic bag that you paid thousands for? Now, when I refer to the cabbage, it was sold by the factory, it was sold by the workers in the factory for a much lesser price. It was the same item as what was being charged a lot more money for. You would quite often go into the markets in London and find these items being sold in the markets for a lesser price, and then walk into a shop and find the exact same item. They were exactly the same item. Exactly the same item. Both made in the same way by the same people in the same factory. Maybe like these super fakes, allegedly. I will add here, like I said earlier on, I understand there's a chain when they're selling these luxury brands. There's a long process. It doesn't end at the factory. There's a long chain that they have to go through. I understand that. But does that justify the difference? 53 euros, 2,700 euros. Is that justified? So yes, we know when we're buying these items, they are overpriced. Their cash value is not worth what we pay for them. Okay, we know all of that. But the difference here is we don't expect people, humans, to be mistreated in this way for their profit. We don't expect a mass-produced bag in an illegal factory. Luxury is looking like fast fashion for ridiculous prices. So next time you, we turn our noses up at Shein, let's make sure these beautiful bags that we have spent thousands on have not been made in the same type of environment. Let's take the blinkers off. Let's stop being in denial. Let's take a stance. We are the consumer. It's down to us at the end of the day. If we don't buy these items, these people in the factories will not be mistreated. So that's how I feel about it. I feel totally misled by luxury, if I had to be honest. I know it's not all luxury brands, but Dior is under a big brand, part of LVMH, and when you look up that company, there are many designer brands under that company. But like I said, these are just my thoughts, and this is all done for entertainment purposes and all allegedly. But I have linked an article down in my description box. So personally, it doesn't make me feel comfortable, because I honestly thought when I was buying these bags, and I bought mine a long time ago, so hopefully when I did buy mine, they weren't being made in sweatshops. I honestly thought these bags were made in a lovely environment. I wasn't wearing blinkers. I honestly believe that my bags were made in a beautiful environment by experts. Like I said, I was brought up in the rag trade where I watched my parents hand stitching the suits. Literally watched my parents hand stitching the suits. Yes, certain parts were made by a machine, a man powered machine. Literally used to be with the foot and the I grew up in a tailor shop. So I really did believe that my bags were made by artisans, and I hope they were. I hope mine were, and I'm glad this has come out into the open. We need to really do our homework when purchasing these things. It really is down to us as the consumer at the end of the day. It really is. Before I end the video, I want to ask a few questions of you. Do you think Dior will survive? Do you think luxury will continue to be as popular? Will you continue to purchase these overpriced items knowing the actual cost to make them? So that's my thoughts on that. I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to blow over like everything does, and I think we're going to continue buying these bags, but hopefully we put a lot more thought into them. Stop making up the old excuses of artisans and good quality. I mean, if you listen to half the videos here on YouTube on the luxury, you'll hear that the quality's gone down and blah blah blah, you know, everything that we hear. But you'll see just as many people, and the same people that moan about quality, still buying the bags and the luxury. And it goes back to, we really need to question ourselves as to why we need these status symbols in our life. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed my take on this subject. Remember, it's all done for entertainment purposes, my people. Thank you again, Sherry and Rose, for requesting my thoughts on the subject. I hope I have done it justice for you. But yeah, thank you so much. Remember to leave your comments because it helps my little channel, people. Those comments down below and the likes honestly do help the channel, so please leave loads and loads and loads and loads of comments. Even if it's an emoji, leave a handbag emoji. Leave a handbag emoji, people, down in the comments, just so I know that you've watched me right to the end. Thank you so much for spending your precious time with me. If you wish to see any more videos from moi, as always, I shall link one here for you and one here. And if you're trying to decide whether or not you're going to subscribe, I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to place an A right here for you. Thank you so much. Cheers, and take the blinkers off, but we do love a luxury.